Welcome to another of our digital masterclass series, The Importance of Going Digital in a Post-COVID World, brought to you by the Glen Eira City Council. Today's topic, branding, more than just a logo. The agenda for today, what is a brand, why branding is important, elements of a brand and where they are used, examples of strong local brands, and a question you might be pondering, do you need to revitalise your brand? And we will end with a branding checklist. So the focus of this session is branding, the what, why, and how. So what is a brand? A brand is more than just a logo. It's all the elements that the public is exposed to, which lets them form an opinion about your business. Your brand reflects the image and values you would like the public to associate with your business, and it can be anything. It can be anything along the lines of the 4 Ps in marketing. Product, which is what products or services your company sells or delivers. Price, where you are on the price spectrum between low and high price. Place, where you are selling your products or services. And promotion, how you promote your products or your company. And that is the types of words or imagery that you might use to promote it. The 5th P is people, which is to do with your staff and customer service. So why is your brand so important? Your brand distinguishes you from your competitors. So just think about it. You probably have a number of competitors, and what distinguishes your business from their business is the way your customers might perceive your brand or their customers might perceive theirs. Your brand can build trust. It can provide direction in all your activities and the way that your staff behave or communicate, and it adds value to your business. It can be placed as goodwill on your balance sheet as an asset. These are some of the world's most recognized brands. You will probably have some sort of emotion or thought when you see some of these logos, which is exactly what branding has done to it. Every brand has the potential to add value to the balance sheet, and the 10 most valuable brands of 2020, these are the values that they place on their brand. In these large companies, they have a process that they follow, or you don't need to be quite this technical, but this is the way they value their brands on the stock market. You might need to think about a more simplistic formula so that when it comes to perhaps selling your business or part of your business in the future, that you can help your accountant identify a value that they might want to put as an asset on your balance sheet. These are branding elements. A brand is made up of a logo and possibly a tagline, the values of your business, a style guide, which identifies the colors, the fonts, the tone of voice in your communications, and the people and customer service. If you're a small business owner, it is most likely that you will have just started with the logo. You may have gone to a designer rather than to an agency and said, I want a logo, and they will come up with something visual. They may have interviewed you about it. The more thorough they are, they will have done that. And they will have asked you about, what do you want your logo to feel or to look like? Now, if that's the case and all you have is a logo and you're looking at expanding your business, you can always go back a few steps and start formulating your style guide. Your designer should be able to help you identify the colors and the fonts that you would like to continue using, but you can help identify the tone of voice that you would like in your communications. That is in written communications and perhaps even in verbal communications, how you would like the phone answered, or how would you like your staff to greet your customers? Where brand elements are used, anywhere that a customer might be able to experience it. It may be in signage, in social media, in any of your written materials, electronic signatures, staff uniforms if you have them, and as mentioned before, in customer service. So I'm going to go through 2 examples of Australian brands, and hopefully this will make a little bit more sense to you. So this is Vegemite. Everybody knows Vegemite. Vegemite was actually invented during the Second World War. There was a product that the British had called Marmite, and we in Australia couldn't get access to it. So a local food manufacturer asked a chemist to formulate this thing called Vegemite. The Vegemite brand is so strong that even with that top image of the Australia and the jar, we would recognize, most people would recognize that as a jar of Vegemite. The words Vegemite is written very small on the bottom there, but it's that iconic yellow and the red, and that the way that they have used the border around the image and the font, that you would know that to be Vegemite. Vegemite is used in other products as well. So the brand is so strong that we can still associate that there would be Vegemite in the other 2 products on the bottom and on the right, even though historically we know Vegemite as a savory spread. And what does Vegemite, what do you think about when people say that word Vegemite? It's very Australian, even though the brand itself has been sold several times. We still know the brand Vegemite. So there was a value to that particular brand name. Another example is Bunnings. So Bunnings is a typical hardware store, but probably not so typical in the way that they market their brand. So their tagline is lowest prices are just the beginning. So that sends a very clear message that we're expecting low prices when we go to Bunnings, but Bunnings is also recognizing that when you come in, it's not just coming in for low prices. It's just the beginning. Somewhere in their branding style guide, there would have been mention about the customer being the center of all the communications. This is why when you look at the catalogs on the bottom of the screen, the word you or your is used in every single heading there. There's the iconic red and green, and every Bunnings store, the style guide goes even down as far as the format of the store. So every store, no matter which Bunnings store you walk into, anywhere in Australia, the aisles are usually set up in a very similar fashion. I haven't actually checked, but I would not be surprised if the aisles are in exactly the same order. Every Bunnings store usually has a welcome entrance that is very visible from the road. It's very clear where it is, and it's always undercover. And then there's the iconic Bunnings sausage sizzle. If you go into a Bunnings store, it's not unusual to see staff wandering up and down the aisles. There'll be a staff member that will greet you to the store, and the staff members who are working in the store, if you ask for help, they will more than likely try and either take you there, be willing to take you there, or know exactly which aisle and where in the aisle the product is that you're looking for. That is the strength of the Bunnings brand, and their style guide would have dictated that. So you can see that with the Bunnings brand, it even goes down as far as the way that who they recruit, the way that they recruit. They are only looking for people who demonstrate very strong customer service values. It is very unlikely that you will go into a Bunnings store and get fobbed off if you ask for help. So Bunnings is a very welcoming store, which is why I think Bunnings did so well when they were competing head on with a competitor like Masters, who, by the way, have fallen by the wayside and no longer exist here in Australia. So this shows you the value of branding and why branding is so important. So a question you might be asking yourself is, should you revitalize your brand? So even successful brand names that you might think would not need revitalization have done so over the years. The example I'm showing you is McDonald's. Most of us may have grown up with the McDonald's between that 1983 through to the early 2000s era. But even though the logo has changed slightly over the years, we still recognize that it is still McDonald's. So when might you consider rebranding? Scenario number one is you might have been around for quite a number of years and you've seen that your target audience has changed or that the values of your company has changed over the years. So you might consider a brand refresh. You may be entering new markets. So you may be a brand that was only ever operating in the city of Glen, Eira, and you might be thinking, well, I'd really like to expand my brand nationally or maybe even globally if you're in professional services. And during that time, you might be thinking, well, my brand needs a bit of a refresh. It's too localized. Or you may be thinking about extending your product line. So you may want to consider rebranding there. So in the case of, let's say, Vegemite, it might at one stage that their jars may have said savory spread, and they may have removed that word spread. And so they've considered rebranding there. Your competitors might be eating into your market share, and now you need a stronger point of difference. So you might consider rebranding in that case. And what might not be so uncommon during the COVID era is overcoming a PR crisis. Your industry or your category that you're operating in may have been hit particularly hard by COVID, by a bit of negative press, in which case you might consider rebranding. Or you yourself, your business may have been involved in perhaps even being in a COVID hotspot. So maybe consider a rebranding exercise. So here's a branding checklist. So do you know your brand values? Are they consistently communicated across your business? Or are you in a situation where you need to revitalize your brand? Some actionable steps. Brainstorm with your staff and your key customers. So if you know your brand values, ask them, is this what you think about when you see my company brand and logo? You can audit all of your brand touch points, from your logo to your signage, your printed materials, your staff and customer service. And step 3, decide whether your brand needs to be revitalized or just articulated and reinforced a little bit better. In summary, a brand is more than a logo. It includes everything your customers can see and experience. Your brand should communicate your business values. Your brand can build trust and is an asset to the business. Revitalize your brand only if you have a good reason to. And this is because it's often a fairly expensive exercise. And consider doing an audit with your staff and customers. That is a really good place to start. Thank you. And if you want more information, please email us at cityfutures@gleneira.vic.gov.au. We would love to hear your feedback and perhaps if you'd like to know more. For more information, we also encourage you to visit us at the Glen Eira City Council business support pages on our council website. Thank you.